Hello, children. I welcome you to the second session of the chapter, The Mughal Empire. We were discussing about Jahangir, who is known as the man of justice. He introduced the chain of justice. The oppressed, the person who was the victim, had to pull this chain, which was made of gold and had 60 bells. And one end of this chain was fastened, it was tied to the fort at Agra, and the other to a stone post fixed on the bank of river Yamuna. So, see, the oppressed, anybody who was, you know, who was a victim, had to pull this chain that was made of gold and it had 60 bells, and one end was fastened to the fort at Agra and the other was to a stone, right, fixed on the bank of river Yamuna. Then Jahangir made a huge blunder by allowing the ambassadors who approached him to trade in India. He gave way to the East India Company and the Britishers by allowing Captain William Hawkins and Sir Thomas Roe from the English East India Company to trade in India. He also gave them privileges. He allowed them to trade at Surat. Then, after Jahangir, it was Shah Jahan, also known as Prince Khurram. Shah Jahan had to face a lot of problem. He witnessed revolts from Rajputs. He had to suppress them. Then in Deccan, he faced revolts, but then he was able to capture Deccan, Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Golconda. Then he sent his armies to Central Asia. He wanted to capture Samarkand, but then he failed. He also wanted to capture Kandahar. Kandahar was under Persian rulers, but then he failed. And during Shah Jahan's reign, the Portuguese started creating problems for him. Then he defeated the Portuguese and finally they signed a peace treaty. Now, Bernier uh, has written about Shah Jahan's reign in the book Travels in the Mughal Empire. Then Bernier and Tavernier, they were two people. So one has written Travels in the Mughal Empire and the other has written Travels in India by Tavernier. Then Storia du Mogor by Manuki. They all told that Shah Jahan was very capable, he ruled like a father, and he was very, very interested in architecture. He got Taj Mahal built in the memory of his bereaved wife, Mumtaz. Then Shahjahanabad was founded by him. He had four sons, Dara, Shukor, Shuja, Murad, and Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb killed Dara Shukor and then he made Shah Jahan a prisoner at Agra fort and he crowned himself. Aurangzeb ruled for 49 years. He's said to be the last powerful Mughal emperor. He reintroduced jizya. It is believed that he got various temples destroyed. He was responsible for executing the sons of the last ruler Guru Gobind Singh, the last Sikh Guru, Guru Gobind Singh. But then at the same time, it is said that he led a very simple life. Some scholars also suggest that he was like Zinda Pir or a living saint because he lived a very simple life. He never wore costly robes, but then he was very, very orthodox and a Muslim fanatic, and he created problems for the Jats, and then the Jats of Agra, Mathura region, the Bundelas, they all revolted against him. He captured Bijapur, Golconda. He wanted to subdue Shivaji, but he failed to, and he tried to capture Shivaji. He was successful, but then later on Shivaji escaped. And Aurangzeb, though, was very, very educated and very, very learned, but then he was responsible for giving way to rivalry between the Mughals and the Rajputs, between the Mughals and the Sikhs, and the successors of Aurangzeb were weak, and the nobles became very, very powerful in the later stage after the death of Aurangzeb. Then it is believed that the Mughal emperor had just two crucial responsibilities. One was Jahabani. Jahabani means protection of the kingdom. Another was Jahangiri, that means extension of the empire. And all this was possible because of the capable rulers, the chief executive, the commander in chief, and the nobles. Then there was Wazir, Prime Minister, Diwan. Diwan used to collect revenue. He was the head of revenue department. Mir Bakshi, military. Khani Saman used to see what is missing in the royal household. Then Sadri Sadar used to maintain records of all the donations, and Qazi, chief judge. So they had Wazir, Prime Minister, Diwan, the head of revenue department, Mir Bakshi, of course, the military, Khani Saman, to see if there is any saman, commodity missing in the royal household. Sadr, that means to see look after the donations, and Qazi, the judge. The emperor was of course the head, and the whole empire was divided into provinces called subas, and there were subedars. Then these subas were further divided into districts, and those districts were called sarkars. So first it was subas, then sarkars, and then sarkars were further divided into parganas. There was a kotwal who was the in charge, right, like police. Yes, kotwali. So kotwal was there. Then for army we had Mir Bakshi. All the soldiers' record was there. Hulia, their record was there. Then there was Mansabdars who used to maintain army, the way we had it in the chapter Delhi Sultanate, and the Mansabdars had to maintain army and help the king whenever the king needed, and it was not hereditary in nature. Now, in under Mansabdari system, the two terms were very important: Zat and Sawar. Now, Zat means how many soldiers were under one Mansabdar. The more the soldiers under one Mansabdar, the better the salary was. And Sawar means how many horses were there under one Mansabdar. So Mansabdars were basically the people who had to maintain army and help the king whenever the king needed. And for Mansabdars, two terms were very important. Zat, that means how many people they had under them, and Sawar, how many horses and cavalry they had under them. That was very important, and accordingly their salary was decided. Then land revenue system was decided by Raja Todarmal, and it was continued. He was a very, very efficient officer, and Raja Todarmal, he decided that the revenue system should be according to the fertility of the land, and there were officers who used to visit and survey the village land, and accordingly the revenue was divided. Earlier ropes were used, but then he realized that the ropes got shrunk when they were dried, and they lengthened when wet, so he instead used bamboo reed ropes. And for accuracy, and this was the land was measured, and the fertility was taken into account before deciding the land revenue, and the peasants were given special discounts also, special relaxations also, rebates also whenever there was famine or any natural calamity. And then there was another system which was called Dehshala. Dehshala means uh, they had to pay the tax according to the average produce of the last 10 years, so that was also very calculative. And the village headman known as Mukaddam collected the land revenue. And there were two halls, Diwani Khas, which was for the special audience, and Diwani Am, which was for the normal people. Sijda and Paibos were there. And agriculture was the most important occupation, the primary occupation. And the efforts were made to increase the productivity of land and to bring more land under cultivation. So, this is all about the Mughal Empire. I wind up. Thank you and have a great day ahead.